Good morning, everybody. It's Labor Day here in these United States, the day we set aside to honor the working class, the men and women who go to work every morning and keep this economy moving. And what better way to honor them than by giving them a day off from work? Well, except for the underpaid and underappreciated folks working in the food service, hospitality, and retail industries who are currently enduring one of their busiest work days of the entire year. Aren't holidays fun? The following calls are taken from editions of Mail Call, printed in the Herald-Mail from August 19th to August 30th, 2013, which can be read online in their entirety at www.herald-mail.com. First up from Sharpsburg. I got a question for all you Obamacare supporters. If it's so great, why don't all of the congressmen, senators, and lots of the other politicians, why do they have their own insurance plan? It can't be too great. You people had better wake up and realize what's happening to this country. You realize that Obamacare is essentially a set of regulations, right? It's not a new form of health insurance. It's a measure, or rather a series of measures, designed to make health insurance that already exists, almost all of which is sold by private companies, better and more affordable. It's not as though members of Congress have a choice between their current health plans or Obamacare. They're two different things. What's that you were saying about realizing what's happening? This is a response to the Hagerstown caller. I am the caller that called in and said I saw George Carlin and it was a good show. He's criticized me personally and says that it tells you something about the caller. I'm a college graduate veteran that served this country. It's subjective what is quality entertainment and what is not. My whole point was that he was a top-tier entertainer, and we can get top-tier at the Maryland Theater. This guy needs to get a brain check. Hagerstown. Ooh, god damn, that felt good. See, those are the calls that you wait for, you know? Unlike, say, the next call, which is a response to that one I just read. I'm calling with respect to the fellow from Hagerstown who felt necessary to call in and defend his position on George Carlin, why it was a quality show. He took great pains to mention that he's a college graduate and a veteran and he served his country, and all of that is well and good, but that doesn't give you good taste. I'm calling to defend the guy who questioned his taste because George Carlin put on a very blue, very adult show and not appropriate for the Maryland Theater. Hagerstown. Since when is the Maryland Theater the auditorium at a fucking elementary school? And since when has anybody mistaken George Carlin for a guy who puts on puppet shows to entertain the youngsters? Shining Time Station notwithstanding. I mentioned last time that I was at one of those Carlin shows at the Maryland Theater. And yes, it's true, it was a very adult show. But do you know what I saw in the crowd that night, seated all around me? A lot of fucking adults. That you would find it in bad taste for an adult comedian performing before an audience of adults to do a show unsuitable for 6-year-olds says a lot more about you uptight, prudish cunt, than it does about the previous caller or the rest of the adults I saw laughing their asses off at the Maryland Theater that night. I wonder if the American people will ever find out where President Obama was the night that 4 Americans died in Benghazi. I'll bet one thing, I'll bet you Ronald Reagan, you'd have known where he was, and I bet there wouldn't have been orders to stand down while 4 Americans died. Mr. President, you keep calling some of these things phony scandals. The only thing phony about it is your administration is phony. Hagerstown. You know, I don't really get the continuing outrage directed at President Obama over the Benghazi thing. To me, it just seems like grasping at straws of the most futile and poisonously partisan kind. But if for some reason you do want to criticize him for what you perceive to be his failures relative to Benghazi, here's a free word of advice. You probably shouldn't compare Obama to the guy whose defense during the Iran-Contra scandal was essentially, I don't know, I wasn't really paying attention. Nice article on the Sun's leaving for Virginia. Thank God the Field of Dreams is going down there, and it saves us county, city taxpayers $40 to $50 million. Field of Dreams, goodbye. We'll be here waving goodbye to you next year. Hagerstown. That's right, the Hagerstown Suns, our local minor league baseball team, are almost certainly moving down to Fredericksburg, Virginia, where they are actually wanted, where the people might give half a shit about them, and where the city has promised to help them build a new ballpark. So, no new ballpark for Hagerstown. Goodbye, Field of Dreams. Hello, abandoned, derelict stadium. And hey, you know what? It's right across the street from the abandoned electric plant that has been sitting empty for over 40 years, so at least it won't alter the character of the neighborhood. This is for the person who wanted to know if there was a recipe to kill ants. I would advise her to get in touch with my wife. Anything my wife cooks would probably kill ants. Sharpsburg. It's funny. So, when you and your wife go to the grocery store and the cashier is like, hey, do you need a bag for that? Do you just nod at your wife and go, no thanks, I brought my own. But you do, don't you? She is gonna be so happy when you die. Almost every day in the past several months, when you get your morning paper, there has been a fatal accident. I just wonder why. Is it cell phones? Hagerstown. Yes, I'm sure the increase in fatal accidents you've perceived these last several months is related to the cell phones everybody's been using for the last 20 years. Oh, although, you know what else it could be? Those newfangled radial tires. I'm wondering why no grocery stores sell soft-shell crabs anymore. Could I get some feedback on this? Hagerstown. During the process of calling in this comment to the Herald-Mail, did it ever occur to you that you could have placed almost this exact same call to a grocery store and probably learned the answer to your question? I have a suggestion for Hagerstown to put some life into the downtown area. Redirect Antietam Creek down Potomac Street. And then you can have a river walk like San Antonio. That will surely increase the number of people coming downtown, and that's as good an idea as the downtown stadium. Washington County. People in Hagerstown lost their shit over the prospect of building a ballpark, and you want to redirect a creek downtown? Maybe after that they can put in those unicorn farms along the dual highway we've been hearing about, or finally get around to planting those wish-granting trees. Why don't they just do that already? I have a question for all you Obama-likers out there. President Obama said that he was going to cut the deficit in half by the end of his first term. Well, he's more than doubled it. Can anyone out there tell me what he's really accomplished? Williamsport. Enacted healthcare reform, repealed Don't Ask, Don't Tell, ended war in Iraq, brought troops home from Afghanistan, saved General Motors and Chrysler, turned around worst economy in 80 years, enacted Wall Street reform, ended torture of detainees, expanded Pell Grants, enacted Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act, reduced federal crack versus powder cocaine sentencing disparity, invested more in renewable energy than any other president, expanded broadband internet access in low-income and rural communities, expanded federal funding of stem cell research, expanded S-CHIP, established Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, increased automotive fuel economy standards, enacted credit card reform, increased border security, ordered closing of CIA black sites, cut taxes for 95% of American workers, increased funding to Department of Veterans Affairs, increased funding for National Park Service, ordered operation that killed Osama bin Laden. Sorry for reading, there were too many to memorize. I was born in Hagerstown, raised in Hagerstown, and for 70 years I've lived in Hagerstown, but Big Brother has just about done it in. No smoking in the parks? I can't believe it. What's next of our personal freedoms do we have left? This country was founded on tobacco. Hagerstown. You are confusing a fundamental human right with something you just really like to do. It's amazing how often people do that, isn't it? And finally, from Hagerstown, I applaud Don Munson for changing his vote in support of keeping the Suns in Hagerstown. Let's put a package together and move forward. Now is the time. No, actually about a year ago was the time. Or 6 months ago. Or even a month ago. Now is the time to congratulate the people of the city of Fredericksburg on their new baseball team. Enjoy it, folks. I hope you guys appreciate the team more than most people in Hagerstown did. Oh, now is also the time to congratulate the Suns, because they're leaving town. Best of luck, fellas. Thanks for watching.